You cancelled the plan again, and the second you did, something loosened in your chest. Not guilt, relief. You'd rather sit in a quiet room than a loud one full of people who like you. And you've started wondering if that means something's wrong with you. It doesn't. But there's something you should know. There are two kinds of alone. From the outside, they look identical. One rebuilds you. The other empties you so quietly that you'll call it peace, right up until it isn't. A psychoanalyst gave the difference a name in 1958, in a paper almost nobody reads. I've spent weeks inside that paper, and inside what Jung understood about people like you decades before it. By the end of this, you'll know which one you're living in. In 1958, a British psychoanalyst named Donald Winnicott published a paper with a title that sounds like nothing. The Capacity to Be Alone. A few pages, no dramatic case study, and inside it, a claim that contradicts almost everything you've been told about independence. Winnicott argued that the ability to be alone is not something you're born with, it's something you're given, and you're given it in the strangest possible way. By being alone in the presence of someone else. Picture a child playing on the floor, a parent in the room, not watching, not interfering, just there. The child is absorbed, separate, alone, and safe. Winnicott believed that this exact experience, repeated enough times, gets installed. Eventually, the child stops needing the parent in the room because the parent is now inside the child. So the adult who can sit in an empty apartment and feel calm is not free of people. He's full of them. Which raises a question you probably don't want to sit with. If the capacity to be alone is built out of other people, what exactly is happening inside someone who prefers being alone and never got that far? Here's what it feels like from the inside. The invitation comes, and your body answers before your mind does. A small no, almost physical. You type the reply. Something came up. You watch the three dots appear and disappear, and the relief lands before they've even responded. And then the evening, the one you protected. You're in it now and it's fine. It's quiet. You eat standing up. You put something on and don't watch it. You scroll for 40 minutes and couldn't name one thing you saw. At some point, you notice you haven't actually thought about anything. You've just been alone in a room with a screen between you and the silence. That's the part nobody says out loud. You didn't choose solitude that night. You chose absence. And they feel identical while they're happening. You tell yourself you're recharging, but recharging implies you come back with something. So answer this honestly. After the last 20 nights you protected, what came back? There's a version of this that genuinely restores people. Whole lives get built on it. Writers, monks, researchers, people who go looking for the quiet on purpose and come out carrying something. You already know you're not always doing that. And Jung had drawn the map for why, 37 years before Winnicott ever picked up a pen. In Psychological Types, published in 1921, Jung introduced two words that have since been flattened into personality quiz filler: introversion and extraversion. What he meant by them was mechanical, not moral. Extraversion is psychic energy moving outward, toward the object, the other person, the world. Introversion is that same energy moving inward, toward the subject. Neither is health, neither is damage. They're directions. Jung was clear that the introvert isn't afraid of people. He's oriented elsewhere. That part of you is not a wound, and it does not need fixing. But Jung added something the quizzes left out, and it's the sharpest thing anyone has said about this. When one direction gets used exclusively, the other doesn't disappear. It goes underground. And what goes underground doesn't stay quiet. It comes back distorted, as compulsion. The man who has fully retreated from people does not stop needing them. He starts being ruled by the need he refuses to admit. That's the trap, not loneliness. Being run by the thing you exiled. And roughly 2,000 years earlier, a tradition on the other side of the world had already built the entire structure to prevent it. In the Sanskrit legal and philosophical texts of India, the Dharma Shastras, human life was divided into 4 stages, the ashramas. First, brahmacharya, the student. You learn and you're formally dependent on a teacher. Second, grihastha, the householder. You marry, you raise children, you earn, you carry other people, and you get carried. This stage was treated as the load-bearing wall of the whole society, because everyone in the other 3 stages was fed by it. Third, vanaprastha, the forest dweller, withdrawal. The Manusmriti puts it in physical terms. When your skin has wrinkled and your hair has turned white and you have seen your children's children, then you go to the forest. Fourth, sannyasa, total renunciation. No home, no household fire, no possessions. Now notice the sequence. Solitude sits at 3 and 4. Never 1, never 2. The tradition had no category for a 26-year-old who simply preferred the forest. It wasn't a personality type you could claim. Withdrawal was something you earned by first being unbearably entangled with other people and then finishing it. Because the forest was never an escape from people. It was what came after people had already done their work on you. You walked in carrying everyone you'd loved and fed and argued with and buried. The silence had material. Translate that into modern language and you land almost exactly where Winnicott landed, 2 millennia later. Solitude is not the absence of relationship, it's the internalization of it. Which means the question was never whether you like being alone. The question is whether there's anyone in there with you. So stop asking if something's wrong with you for wanting the quiet room. It's been the wrong question the whole time. Sit in the room and ask a different one. Who's in here? An empty room is never empty. Either you're in it with the people who shaped you, the arguments you're still finishing, the version of yourself that shows up when nobody's performing at you, or you're in it with a body, a screen, and a low hum you've trained yourself to call peace. Same room, same silence, same person canceling the same plans. One of them is a workshop, the other is a waiting room. And it has nothing to do with how many hours you log. That's what everyone gets wrong. You can spend 10 years in the waiting room. Hermits have, monks have. Time alone doesn't convert one into the other, and nobody who sells you solitude as a lifestyle will tell you that. What decides it is who you brought in with you. I should be honest about my own version of this. For about 2 years, I told myself I was protecting my energy. Good phrase. Very defensible. Nobody argues with it. Underneath it, I was just tired of being perceived. The tell wasn't the cancelling. The tell was what happened after. I'd get the night I fought for and do nothing with it. Not rest, not think, not make anything. Just wait for the next day so I could be tired again. Real solitude costs something. That's the part I didn't want. When you sit in the quiet with nothing to look at, the first thing that arrives isn't peace. It's everything you've been outrunning. The conversation you handled badly 6 years ago. The person you were unfair to. The thing you won't start because you might fail at it in front of yourself. Winnicott's child on the floor isn't calm because the room is empty. He's calm because someone's there and he doesn't have to check. Most of us are checking, constantly. That's what the scrolling is. A hand reaching out every 90 seconds to confirm the room isn't empty. So the test isn't whether you enjoy being alone, it's whether you can sit alone with no screen for 90 minutes and not need to escape. Try it once. You'll find out very fast which room you've been living in. You'll probably cancel something this week. Do it. That was never the problem. But watch what you do with the hour you bought. Seneca opens his 10th letter with a story about the philosopher Crates, who saw a young man walking by himself and warned him to be careful because he was in bad company. The young man was completely alone. That was the point. 2,000 years later, nobody has improved on that observation. The company you keep when there's nobody around is the only company you can't walk out on. So, the room's quiet now, your phone's face down. Whoever's in there with you has been waiting a long time. Go find out who it is.